Coffee Conversations with Greg J is on. Good morning. What's going on Tuesday? A lot going on. I won't be before you very long today. Coffee Conversations with Greg J is the place where we have culturally relevant conversations affecting our community and from a global perspective. Yeah, we're based in Long Beach. We're based in Southern California. Those are our foundations. But we also touch across the globe, Africa, Caribbean, the diaspora, just talking about stuff about us, culturally relevant, not preaching hate, not talking about wanton destruction. We're talking about solutions, contemplations, open thought about what is before us. You can get us on Beach City Radio, beachcityradio.com. You can get us on LinkedIn. You can get us on YouTube. Please help us at YouTube to like and subscribe what you see. That helps the algorithms pick up our game. We've got a few announcements coming where we're going to be expanding. People are beginning to notice, and that's good. We've been doing this since the pandemic started, and now listening dynamics have changed now that we seem to be evolving towards recovery, and it's a good thing. We're still in the game. We're still relevant. We're still conscious. We're still giving you information and things to think about as we move about this world. We're going to Ghana. Hope you're able to join us. We'll put the link in the chat so that you can get with us, or you can just go ahead and join that page that we've created. We'll put that link out there also across all of our Facebook platforms, Twitter, Instagram. Just follow us out there and just try to see how you can link up and go to the cultural experience of your lifetime. We're going to be journaling a trip before we take y'all over there. We're going to just keep a lookout on this channel and others as we begin to share some tidbits about Ghana, West Africa, and our intersections there, how we want to be at the forefront of building a bridge of cultural exchange, music, arts, culture with Ghana, West Africa, and America. We haven't given up on South Africa either. We're still going to go there too. Announcements coming soon on that. Thank you if you're coming out to our coffee pop-ups, coffee at ColumbusonCoffeeCompany.com. Man, Kanye West has got social media popping, right? Making anti-Semitic remarks on record and by demonstrations. I guess they went on a freeway overpass and, put a sign over the freeway to say he was right about Jewish people. The issue I'm having is that Kanye West has captured the imagination of the national dialogue, right? And I have been around the industry a long time. I never saw Kanye West as a, this pundit, this thought leader, this philosophical wonder. I mean, there have been musicians over history that, come out and they made hits and everything, and they use their platform to speak towards what they interpret as ills, social justice, climate change, world peace. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. I've got a couple of friends who are musicians, Grammy nominated, highly regarded, and who have been intersecting with the United Nations in search of world peace and have been made, ambassadors and representatives of world peace by that global body. But I'm not seeing Kanye, or Ye as we say that now, as one of those people. So I'm trying to understand how he has captured so much of the imagination of the national dialogue. I'm trying to understand how he becomes a spokesperson for Black people, Black community. Okay, he gets a point for saying George Bush doesn't care about black people. Remember back there when Katrina hit and we were all overwhelmed by the images we were seeing coming out of New Orleans, and they were all people looking just like us, enduring exceedingly strenuous times in the wake of that ginormous hurricane. He came out and he's out there and he says, George Bush doesn't care about black people. Okay, you got a point for that, I thought. But after that, I really can't see him as being a barometer of what we are thinking and feeling and experiencing in the black community. Um, he came out at the fashion show the other week with the girl Candace Owens and a few others, and they had these T-shirts, White Lives Matter. There was an interview with Tucker Carlson where he explained himself in that, but it was a kind of a rambling interview. And then when I listened to it, to be honest with you, there were some points he made where it's like, okay, you could respect people for their opinions and their thoughts, but you had to parse those opinions and thoughts from his ramblings. And so if you were able to do that, you can understand where he was coming from. But what I don't understand is how he is making such anti-Semitic remarks. I don't understand how he is representative of the community or even his generation. Who made him the thought leader, right? So I'm just trying to understand why he's gaining so much traction in such a time as this. Now, on the other hand, it is interesting that we have to wait when we hear people making disparaging remarks for, resignations and, racial remarks, right? You got to wait for the resignation. You got to wait for systems to take action. Whereas when you do hear about anti-Semitism, they're on it. You're fired, gone. So Ye lost his agent. He lost his contract with Adidas. There's a few other things, and our Jewish brothers and sisters aren't playing with that. The Holocaust Museum reached out to him to have, okay, look, let's have some dialogue, some understanding. These people are not playing with this racism, these anti-Semitics and all of that. And so don't tolerate anti-Semitism. I will tell you a story. Last year or earlier this year when Woodberg, remember, on The View, was suspended for 15 days for asking a question about our Jewish brothers and sisters. And, I was really kind of confused. The Black community was outraged. And, you did see, again, to my point, immediate action, by the entities because they deemed her question anti-Semitic. So I reached out for coffee conversations with Greg J to the local synagogue, got to the chief rabbi there, young man, and we chopped it up. It was a great conversation. You could flip through our library of great broadcasts. Matter of fact, I think when I get off, I'll try to go in and find it and put it up at the top of your feed so you can check out that broadcast. I will say that broadcast did not go without challenges. As soon as we went live, we got hacked. It was crazy. It took me 2 days to untangle whatever had happened mysteriously. The moment we pressed go live, we were messed up. We called the people out, whoever did it in the broadcast, because we're always about promoting peace and love in humanity. We just want you to be aware of what's happening, and what's affecting the Black community, because, I'm a Black man, Black perspectives. No hate intended. We're just trying to be unapologetic about who we are, be unapologetic about the discussion towards subjects that matter to us. Immediate action by our Jewish brothers and sisters against Ye. Racism and resignations, over there in LA City Hall. We've already dealt with this. I know that somebody on my feed, my Facebook feed, was telling me I needed to be more talk about politics and what's happening at City Hall. Well, we've dealt with that already. We had Jasmine Kennick and Dr. Anthony Samad on last week. It was so good and so insightful. We aired it twice. We did it live on last Tuesday, a week ago today. And then Thursday, we came back with it again. And our inbox is really, really full with people who enjoyed those perspectives and the discussion that we had regarding the racist comments made by prominent city council members as they were meeting and strategizing redistricting. Nuri Martinez, who at the time was the city council president, resigned her presidency at first. That was all she was going to do. And then she quickly, a day or two later, resigned her seat on the city council. Gilbert Cedillo, Kevin De Leon, they've refused to resign. Ron Herrera, the head of the County Labor Federation, he resigned. He resigned immediately. He was the first one. He was like, okay, I'm out. The incident is serious, right? It's very, very serious. And it's got a lot of people talking today on Tavis Smiley's radio station. He's actually exclusively interviewing Kevin De Leon. Kevin, they're calling it his only intersection for an hour with Black LA. And I'm looking forward to hearing that after we get off here. I want to hear what he has to say, sort of, right? Racism and resignations in City Hall, right? In the election season, LA City Hall is a mess. Meanwhile, over here in Long Beach, I see the dirty tricks have begun. A lot of negative ads and accusations coming out across my Facebook feeds, and pretty serious actions. I don't know where these people get this information. I would love to know that, however, it's just a crazy, crazy time. No matter who you want to vote for, I would say just vote, because low voter turnout really, really hurts our ability to put qualified leaders in these positions. We do know that I think the voter turnout in Long Beach was, I don't know, 11, 12, 13% or something really super low. People just wasn't interested in going to the polls. But, they make it easier now. You can go now. You probably by now got your sample ballot. Yesterday was the last day to register to vote. You can mail it in. You can go out there to Norwalk. That's what I do. I go to Norwalk. Okay, because there's just too much going on, and I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist. It just seems to me like that's the best thing to do, is take the time to drive over a couple cities and put my ballot right into the source. What is that? Not the Hall of Administration, but that's their headquarters, county headquarters out there in Norwalk, where everything is. You file your business licenses, your fictitious business statements, and all of that kind of stuff goes on in that big complex out there in Norwalk, California. And that's where I take my ballot. I've been doing that for a couple of years now, after I just started seeing. So after hanging Chad, remember that one? Hanging Chad. After hanging Chad, I went on and began to take my ballot right to the county, here. That's what's up. But one thing is, study the issues. There's a lot of propositions. We're going to begin to intersect with the California Black Media Network and other contacts to begin to examine the different propositions. I'm really interested to understand the whole casino thing, Prop 27, Prop 26, right? And so wealthy tribes against the smaller tribes. And really what it's about is the Asian card rooms against the Indian tribes. They're getting all the money out there. And now they argue it, That's really what it boils down to. But we really need to get some experts in to kind of talk about it so that we can be informed and make proper votes. Yeah. That's what's going on out here. Well, I'd like to just say, I know that there's home buyers seminars coming given by the West Angeles Community Development Corporation. You can call them up at 323-741-3440 and inquire about those. They have them up there in LA at the West Angeles Community Development Corporation's headquarters, 6028 Crenshaw Boulevard. To do them now in Long Beach. I don't know where that's going to be, but they are facilitating homebuyer education so that you can become fully informed on how to buy a home. Now, I would just say this, these prices are crazy, and we're beginning to contemplate whether or not we should buy or continue to rent. The rents are high, gas is high, inflation is it's just really, really crazy. But certainly get the information, and you can be better informed on what you want to do in these days and time. Even now, people are listening to their soul, and maybe Africa is a place to consider moving. One of our earlier shows this summer, we had Dr. David Horn, who was talking about, even if you wanted to just stay in America, as a Black person, it's wise to at least consider what the possibilities are to move to the continent of Africa. Yeah. I These trips that we have to Ghana that we've been making. Last year we went, maybe you've seen some of our videos that we posted. Last December we went to Ghana, and it was for a business expo, as we were following Dr. Arikana Chiambori Kwao over there to attend her trade expo. And she was planning to build a city in Cape Coast, and or near Cape Coast, I should say. And she was calling it the Wakanda One City of Return. Now, I'm not really sure what happened to that concept. I did speak with her while she was on the Carl Nelson show, and it seems like she kind of backed off of that notion, and even now is holding a economic summit, a business summit in Zimbabwe near the Victoria Falls. Really still going about the theology of Africa is calling her children home. So she's advocating for dual citizenship in the nation of Zimbabwe. They have dual citizenship in Ghana. While on paper they have it, all reports right now are that it's a long process for that to happen. And we know that the United States somehow has been, you know, uh, pressuring, I guess you would, or advocating to suspend that program. They don't want to lose Black folks. But it is what it is, right? Our consciousness says that, hey, maybe this is something that we would consider living in Africa. I know I'm considering it. Um, and at the very least, certainly having a base there. I've been going to Africa since 2010. I've been taking groups since 2013, as you know. If you know me, I'm all things Africa. We import the coffee from Cameroon, West Africa. We do African art. We do, history. We do current events. Even here on this program, Coffee Conversations with Greg J, we've reached across the sea to Africa to have renowned journalists on to talk about situations and circumstances that are happening on the continent and how they affect the global landscape. We're just really about that mission. Somebody had the audacity to try to start, you got haters everywhere, right? Somebody was asking, how do they afford so many trips to Africa? Well, I'm going to give you something. This is just a sidebar. I just African American. If you are over the age of 18, you should have a passport. Get yourself a passport. The world is yours. I choose Africa as my center, and there's a lot of reasons for that. I want to dispel the myths about Africa. I want to continue to build bridges of music, arts, and culture with Africa. But Africa is a continent with 55 countries on it. It is a untapped resource. The only images that we get here in America about Africa are the ones where the children are diseased, famine has hit the land, and it's just a bad scene all around, and starvation and all this here. This is what we see. We don't see the thriving cities. We don't see the Afropolitan lifestyle. We don't see the educated African people who are making things happen, moving and shaking in their various cities and towns all across the continent. The imagery here in the United States seems to focus on aid. Oh, they need our aid. Well, maybe aid is needed in places, that's for sure. But we believe in trade, not aid. Someone got a little upset with me because I didn't want to participate in a aid oriented fundraising effort. I just think that our philosophy, our theology here in this space is to build cultural exchange, business, commerce, you know, and linking up with our brothers and sisters on the continent to create content, to create, make movies, TV shows, radio shows, to exchange art, to exchange agriculture. There's just a lot to do with our brothers and sisters on Africa, and therefore we believe will strengthen the global economic standing of Black people across the diaspora. Not just my effort. There's others, many, many others who are of the same mind. Exploited so much, Africa has been. And we just want to do our part to try to, take back, if you will, our natural resources, to participate in the international marketplace with our resources, with doing business with brothers and sisters on the continent in exchange, and introducing us here to African culture, African music, African arts. That's what we're all about. Somebody was clowning, saying, how do they afford travel to Africa? Well, first of all, if you need to be a bargain shopper, get your passport first of all, because it's probably, I wonder, does the person that was saying that, do they even have a passport? But get your passport and then begin to look at the pricing. It's not that expensive to travel to Africa. I was talking to a friend of mine who was thinking about traveling to Ghana, never been, been down to Cancun, a couple of times, but never been. And she was like, thinking it was really, really crazy expensive to travel with us to Africa. And when she saw the pricing, it was like, oh, wow, because it's includes the flights, it includes great hotels and all the experiences that we're going to share with you once we get over there. And she was really, really surprised because in her mind, this trip to Africa, this unknown, as they like to call it, the dark continent, was almost unknown to her without doing the homework. No, you can get tickets now, Priceline, and true that, man. Flights are expensive these days. However, you can get some really, really good prices flying to Ghana, West Africa, flying to Johannesburg, South Africa. You can get them. We've been able to find them, and we've been able to build that into our package. So I'm just going to tell you, go look at it on our Facebook page, our website, beachcityradio.com, figure it out. If you want to travel with us. Now, if you just wanted to travel on your own, which I also too, I encourage, just look into it, because you can get reasonable flights to and from the continent. It's not so far out of reach like you may imagine. There's other ways too. I mean, look, Priceline is a good place to go. Expedia, just, how you look up for your flights to New York City and get the best deals. It's the same when you want to go to these different cities and destinations on the continent. And so I would encourage you not to be afraid. I would encourage you to stop hating on us, because we are doing this. We've been doing this for coming up on a decade, a little more than a decade, actually, of going back and forth to Africa at least once a year, sometimes two. And I think the most times I went in the course of a year was three times. But it is good for us to establish relationships with our brothers and sisters in Africa, especially those of us who are professionals and executives. There are professionals and executives of like industries over there on the continent, and it's really good to be able to compare notes. It's good to be able to share ideas and exchange, and you'll find, hey man, you know, let's get over there, get in it, get to the food, get to the music, get to the people, and you'll have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful time. All right. COVID protocols, I guess we're calling ourselves evolving towards recovery. There's a new booster, they say, for specifically created for this current strain that is out there. I think I'm going to go ahead and get it this week. I know that when we do travel to these countries in Africa, what we have learned is that they're exceedingly diligent towards COVID protocols. You don't see the levels of COVID sickness or even hype in Africa like you would here. I think they eat a little healthier, and all of that is really my opinion on that. But be that as it may, they do have very specific protocols in place. And when we get ready to travel together, we do share those, protocols with you so that you could be in pocket. When we went last year at the height of the Omicron strain, you had to have a test to even get on the plane, and you had to have paid for a test, the test that you would get immediately upon landing in Accra, Ghana. People were very, very diligent about making sure you wore your mask, just all kinds of things. Even the hotels were set up where you could have COVID testing before your return flight. There was a station right at the airport where you could get your testing done right there before you get on your flight. They were not playing with this virus. So I don't know. You should not be fearful. You should not be hesitant. You should be, okay, cool, I'm going to go. And once you get past, adhere to all of those protocols and all of that, and when you get there to the motherland and you hear the brothers and sisters look at you and say, hey, welcome home, your life will be changed forever. And you learn some stuff too, right? That's what we're doing is we're learning, we're exchanging, we're intersecting with cultures uh, all over the world. And I just encourage Black people, get your passport, travel this world, be about it. It's okay. All right, I think I've covered everything for today. I'm going to go ahead and sign off today. Thank you so much for supporting Coffee Conversations with Greg J. We're making some moves here these days where we are trying to expand our studio. We have a collection of African art. When we do our coffee and art pop-ups, hopefully you'll be able to check it out. If not, go to columbusoncoffeecompany.com and look at all the art. I want to point out to you, I was listening to, there's a lot of chatter these days about hip hop from a West Coast perspective, documenting the history of hip hop from a West Coast perspective. And in Long Beach, California, where we originate, they are talking about different, history points, Long Beach being a central metropoli for West Coast hip hop, right? And it's interesting because for me, I was there when hip hop blew up as an executive, as a radio executive at the time the leading Black radio network in the country, which Bailey Broadcasting Services, Lee Bailey, now publishes the EUR Web. In those days, we had Radioscope. Remember that? Radioscope, the entertainment magazine of the air, right? We produced a number of different programs specifically for Black radio across the globe. We had a show called the Hip Hop Countdown and Report. It was when we went to Mr. Bailey and we told him this rap thing is about to be over the place. And he allowed us to create this show. It's hosted by Mike Mosby, the poetess Felicia Morris. I was talking to Felicia the other day. We're going to have her come on Coffee Conversations to talk about, hip hop and radio and everything like this here. This is really, this would be a really great platform for. I think I was actually even going to invite her and then a couple of other digital media people as we talk about Black content, in the digital space. But yeah, Hip Hop Countdown and Report. There used to be a magazine, a trade magazine called the Gavin Report, and my friend Brian Sampson and my best friend Michael Nixon part of the Gavin Report, and they created basically the first chart, right, of hip hop hits, of rap hits. And we used that chart as our top 10 at the Hip Hop Countdown. We were pioneers. Being in the industry in Hollywood, in the mix like that, I watched rap come of age. Egyptian Lover, there's so many. I was going to do a roll call, but now it's early in the morning. I got my mind. There's other things I can't remember nobody's name. But it just was here. Founding member of an organization called the Committee for Excellence in Black Music. My buddy Jerry Davis, in those days, was the director of Black music at ASCAP. I was the sales and marketing manager at Bailey Broadcasting Services. Alonzo Robinson worked also at ASCAP. There were entertainment lawyers. There were Michael Nixon, account executive for many major music and radio trade magazines. We founded this organization called Committee for Excellence in Black Music because what we were seeing is the young people getting signed to these major label record deals, but they weren't getting their just due, getting huge advances, spending it all over the place and still have a major hit, but still living at home with their parents. This is what we saw. So we decided to create the Committee for Excellence in Black Music as a for the young rappers to get education on how their songs were being used. How do you divide credit in the studio if you're writing a song? How do you promote yourself, label using your money for, thus and so. We even had a piece called Lyrical Content and Social Responsibility. And so we were able to make a difference. We held seminars and conventions, if you will. We did some out there in Culver City. We've done them up at UC Berkeley in the Bay Areas, where I met a very young Tupac when Digital Underground was emerging out of that area up there. Just time and time and time and time and time and time and story after story after story after story after story. Been at this a long time. Had a front row seat to rap, hip hop culture. I was also a manager. I managed the Poetess for a hot minute, and we was doing our thing. That's what that is. So there's been all this conversation about rap and Long Beach, and definitely is a worthy conversation to have, because the West Coast's contribution to hip hop culture in America cannot be spoken without Long Beach, Compton, Long Beach adjacent. Compton is just right up the road here. Yeah. So we want to get together with some folks and just kind of talk about the history at some point. You'll probably hear me do some things here. There's a lot of people around Long Beach that were there when Long Beach hip hop erupted. It's not just Snoop. Snoop gets his props because he's certainly one of the biggest stars in America. I was listening to a sports um, radio, and the guy really, I mean, they were white guys and they really didn't resonate with the culture that Snoop represents through his music. And they said as much, but they liked Snoop Dogg because the brother has grown into one of America's most recognizable pop culture icons, right? That's all from Long Beach. But he's not the end all. He might be the biggest. I don't know. Certainly up there, right? He might be the biggest. Um, but certainly there is a story to tell, a fabric, right, with many threads coming through the city of Long Beach. And as we begin to examine its contribution to hip hop culture, I've been around the music industry, the Black music industry, since, professionally since the 80s. But it's always been my essence is to study Black music. I used to go to the library, the Mark Twain Library in San Diego, California, and I'd go to the reference section and I would, pull out records, the recordings of Duke Ellington, Fletcher Henderson, Jimmy Lunsford. These are Black people who were superstars in the 30s and 40s. I wanted to examine, Black music, culture. Since I was a kid, I was like that. When I became a teenager, I spent all my money on records. You could certainly find out the latest records hanging out with Greg J. A friend of mine sent me a picture, old friend, we were in the Marine Corps together. He sent me a picture of all of us. Back in the day, I don't know, 19, 20 years old in my Marine Corps uniform, and I got a radio with me. Right. When I became a professional, my first major radio show was a thing called The Music of Black America. That was narrated by J.J. Johnson. I'm sorry, co-produced by J.J. Johnson and Lou Rawls. Remember, Lou Rawls was the narrator. And Bob Dockery syndicated, the late Al Ramirez, the engineer. I was Al's assistant on that project. And, I'm just saying all that to say I have been a deep student of Black music culture. I was there when hip hop emerged. I watched it change the face of Black music, the Black music industry. I was in it. I was going to all the showcases, The Good Life, Project Blowed, Edna Sims Porter, ESP Public Relations had the ASCAP showcase up in Hollywood at the Roxy. I was there. So I'd like to just kind of begin to examine hip hop culture, hip hop music history from a West Coast perspective, because I'm a pundit. I was there. A lot of people talking about it now, and I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, okay, but, do you really know? Yeah, so that's it. Well, I'm the president of the Arts Council for Long Beach, the board president. I'm happy for that. I'm honored that they, are entrusting me to be a lead advocate for the promotion and preservation of arts and culture in the city of Long Beach. And I don't take the job lightly. And, you'll be hearing a lot more about the Arts Council for Long Beach through this platform and many, many others. So we'll talk to you a little bit about that. Somebody asked me the other day, like, all the arts for the entire city? Is like, yes, every aspect of it, right? And it's really fun because I'm finding myself in places and spaces that I probably would not be before, but at its core, it's still advocating for arts and culture. And I would encourage you, if you're an artist and you live in Long Beach, certainly go to artslb.org and get on that artist registry. I need to see my brothers and sisters participate. There's grants out there, there's all sorts of resources to help you advance your craft. And I just think that you won't know about it until you just go ahead, go to artslb.org, get on that mailing list, get on that artist registry so that you can begin to, get put on, you know what I'm saying? Get up on game, get on to figure out, okay, what is out here that can help you and support you as an artist. That's what you need to do is you need to go to artslb.org, get on that artist registry and make it happen. It's there for you. I'll serve diligently, and I'm just glad to be here. Yeah. All right, y'all. Coffee Conversations with Greg J. We're just up here, random contemplations. I hope I've touched on everything. Padres, what the heck? First of all, I'm a Dodger fan. I'm born and raised San Diego. I'm a Dodger fan. My father loved the Dodgers, man. And so we used to listen to the Dodgers on the radio, backstage, in the backyard, and Vin Scully, the whole thing. I would go all the way back to Manny Mota, and just so many names: Don Drysdale, Don Newcomb, Sandy Koufax. I mean, these are the names that are etched into my consciousness on the Los Angeles Dodgers. Well, so sadly, they lost to the Padres. And I was conflicted because I'm a Dodger fan. Remained quiet during the series, but I was wholly surprised when the Padres defeated the Dodgers to go to the championship series. But I still couldn't find myself for San Diego Padres because teams from San Diego, the Chargers, the Padres, heck, even the Clippers back in the day had the sorriest record like ever when they were the San Diego Clippers. Some of y'all don't remember that, but yeah, they used to be the San Diego Clippers. They were sucked back in those days, But teams from San Diego always get you hot and bothered. They go all the way to the cliff's edge of winning and just blow it. And that's what happened to the San Diego Padres. So it is what it is. San Diego being true to the form. It's like being in an abusive relationship. We love them. Oh, I love you, Padres. I love you. The Padres saying, hey, I love you back. We winning. We're going to defeat the Dodgers. We're going all the way only to let us down and hit us in the gut again. Anyway. All right, y'all, man. Love one another. We need love out here. Keep supporting Coffee Conversations with Greg J. Keep following us so you can find out how to travel with us. Keep participating. You see our coffee, you see our arts, you see our promotion of arts and culture all across the board. We'll be back on Thursday with some special guests. We're going to be examining some of the issues that are on our ballot coming up. All across the state. We're going to be calling on different experts and people walking these hallways of government that can share perspectives and thought so that hopefully this can contribute to your decisions that you want to make as you go to the polls. The most important thing right now, we want to pay attention to who you vote for and all of that, but still, man, just vote. Because a non-vote is a vote for the person that you probably would oppose or for the issue that you would oppose. You can't just sit it out. Now is too sensitive. Now is too important. Get out there and vote. It's easier now. Your vote's being counted, no question. I mean, trust the process as much as you can. Right. You got to do some stopgaps. Like I said earlier, I go right out there to the county building and drop mine off. That's what it is. But I just think that it's important that you exercise your right to vote. And people of color, When you exercise your right to vote, you have to understand that time and time again, and I know this is getting cliched, but it's time and time again. Our brothers and sisters have been killed, stoned, brutalized, ostracized just for demanding the right to vote. Vote, y'all. Vote. Vote. All right. Make it a great day and love one another, okay? Love one another. Love one another. Peace and blessings. Man, they try to hack me here, huh? Free girls. What the heck? All right, y'all. Peace and blessings.